Uh,
Okay.
hi to Ziyanda's followers. It's really great to have you all in this. Very excited to, have you join us today. Um,
Yes.
let's get the lighting right. So, as we jump into this, let me just tell you a little bit about what we're doing here and what's happening. So this is part of a project that we have. We're calling it this unnamed project. So the goal of this unnamed project is that it's part of a greater idea, and the mission is to break down the mental barriers that are holding back emerging young South African professionals, and to push them to start taking action by being more accountable for their lives. And as opposed to waiting around for things to happen, in South Africa, a lot of people just sit around and be like, oh, government this and this. We all have
Yeah.
excuses. And so one of the ways that we're doing this is that we're having conversations with inspiring people who have ideas and stories to share. And today we have psychology student, inspirational speaker, poet, and entrepreneur of Black Rose hair, Ziyanda I Am Black Rose essay herself. Hi, Ziyanda.
Hi, Matt. Oh my word, what an introduction. I love that introduction. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, hi everyone who just joined, everyone that joined earlier on. Hi guys, thank you for joining. Please do stay tuned for this conversation. And yeah, let's get it.
So let's get into it. We're really happy to have all of you guys join us today. Sorry, I was just trying to find somewhere with good lighting. Uh, there we go. There we go. So yeah, Z, let's jump into it. For the people that don't really know what you're about, maybe just share a little bit about who is Z Khumalo and what is I Am Black Rose essay all about.
Okay, so obviously I am Ziyanda Khumalo, aka I am Black Rose SA, and what that is all about, that is, I won't say my project per se, but it's my brand at the moment. And yo, there's a lot to it because within that I am a poet, I am an inspirational speaker, yes, I'm an entrepreneur that has a lot of avenues as well. Psychology student. Oh my word, I sometimes forget all the things I do and all the things I'm a part of.
Mm,
But basically, I am Black Rose SA, is part of Black Rose establishment.
mm.
And yeah, I guess you should tune into my page and my channel to see what Black Rose establishment is all about, because that will be launching soon. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Nice. Very, very detailed. It sounds like, you've got a lot of things going on right now, a lot of projects that you're working on.
Yeah. Yes,
Mm.
there's quite a lot I'm working on because we always need to be pushing something. So yeah.
100%, 100%. So, when I was starting off this little escapade adventure of mine, there was a lot of resistance, internal resistance. It took a lot for me to step out and actually be like, yo, it's time to go on social media. I've never loved social media. I've avoided it except, for your WhatsApps and your Snapchats. I've always avoided
Yeah.
that. And I understand that, there's this resistance that comes with putting yourself out there. And so I've decided to make it this thing where I speak to, the people that are hosting me on their lives about the resistance that they face when they need to step out into social media, when they need to step out of their comfort zones. And, just speaking to you earlier on, it sounded like you had a lot of that going on. And I have no doubt that a lot of people, our age that want to step up, that want to do things, are
Mhm.
experiencing that resistance. So let's have a chat about that resistance, how you overcome it, and how it is that you finally got yourself to this place where you're like, I'm gonna start a live, even though I'm a social butterfly that's scared of being live.
Oh wow. So I am so scared of live because I've never done it before. That's one thing. And I think also with starting my YouTube channel, for instance, it took me so long to start it. And I kept saying I'm going to do it. But I think another thing, it took me that long because most of what was happening happened from fear. And that fear started causing a lot of procrastination. So each time I was like, no, I'll do it. I'd end up saying, but what if it's not good enough, you know? But what if it's not according to standard? What if it's not what it's meant to be? So what would you be doing? So one day I woke up and I was like, you know what? Stop closing yourself in. Stop boxing yourself in and just do it. Just do it without looking back, without procrastinating, without all of that. And I threw myself in it. And doing this live, I'm still so anxious. Hence, I'm this bubbly. Okay, I'm bubbly as usual, but I mean, but yeah, I think when procrastination stopped, then determination walked in. So that's just how I got to being this, I won't say this comfortable, but being able now to do it and do it freely. Yeah.
So it was all about, you know, stepping into the fear, stepping into your fear and trying to make it work for you.
Yeah, that was literally it. And I mean, we know now that we tend to fear the unknown. And I was fearing the unknown because I kept with the what ifs. I kept just thinking of things in my head that weren't necessarily happening. So once I stepped into my own and I kept reminding myself that, you know what, sis, you're good enough and your content needs to be out there. And know that not everyone will agree with it, but there'll be that 1, 2, or 3 that are like, that actually had an impact, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah.
100%. I mean, it's something that's so common with people our age. Everyone's just so scared of being judged. Everyone's just so scared of putting themselves out there. And it's like, why, if you love something that much, like, why don't you put yourself out there for it?
Sure.
So, yeah, now go for it.
I think another thing is that we've become a society that's stuck on the image. And I'm going to break down what I mean now. We've become a society that we are stuck on going for the clout. So we're stuck on going for those that are already known, those that already have a name for themselves. We're stuck on going according to people that already have thousands of followers, that already have so many accomplishments. And granted, there are those people that you started the journey with them. So when they get there, it's easier. But then there's those people that you just start following and you expect everyone to be that person. And that's just not how it works.
It takes time. You've gotta go through the stages. You've gotta understand the process.
Exactly.
So what is it that got you, you know, into this understanding? Like, while I was thinking about, you know, successful people, you know, a lot of them, their success stories only start selling when they have become successful. No one wants to hear about the what we call it, the struggles of someone that is not successful. And, you know, it creates this perception that success can be built overnight. You can become something great overnight because 1 minute, you know, this person's successful, next thing you're hearing about their story. And so, you know, I wanted to also, you know, touch on things like the importance of following someone's success story before they even become successful. So maybe you could share a little bit of that, like what got you onto this path to becoming successful.
Sure, quite a lot of things. I think my biggest thing has been I've always lived on the saying, prove them wrong. And when I say that, the reason why I say I've lived on that for some time is because there's so many instances where you share your ideas with someone or you let someone into what you're planning or what you want to do. And in that moment, it seems as though you're awaiting them to validate that, yes, do it, you know, you're good enough to do it. And I think that's when sometimes that validation can either make or break you because sometimes you don't get that validation. Sometimes no one's going to say, yes, we'll do it, or yes, we'll do it. And you need to get up and do it yourself. So I think coming into this journey, the one thing was prove them wrong. And another thing also is I've always wanted to be more than I am. And that's my goal all the time. I want to be more than I am. I want to get to places I haven't seen people reach yet. Even if they have been reached, then I just want to top that roof, Yeah,
Strive
yeah,
to be bigger, strive to be better, continuously improving yourself.
exactly, exactly.
Mm. And it's quite inspirational following your poetry. Like you touch on you touch on some really on some really deep stuff there, hey? And it's it's very encouraging to see someone tap into those things. I mean, it's not something very common, for people our age. There's so many barriers that hold us back. There's so many things
Mm.
we're scared to talk about. And I was just curious. I was like, sure, where does someone find that passion to go in and talk about how I felt about my body image in such in such in depth? It's mind blowing. And Jesse, man, I really would love you to share that with us. I think that is by far one of the most inspiring things I've gotten from you.
Woo. Firstly, thank you. Um, then going into that, poetry has always been a thing for me. Poetry has been literally, that's my venting place.
Mm,
So whether something good is happening, whether something bad is happening, whether I feel great in the day, whether I feel terrible in the day, that was always my go-to, still is my go-to. And um, letting it out in the world wasn't always a thing,
mm,
but it became a thing because I started picking up that I'm not the only one. As much as situations aren't the same, I'm not the only one going through that thing at that time. And that sometimes people do need that reassurance that, hey, you're going to be okay.
mm.
I'm not saying everything's going to be perfect, but you will get up from where you are now. And also knowing that it's not going to be a 2-minute noodle situation. You're not just going to walk into the situation and have it just straw build you and then walk straight out of it. There's always a
100%.
reason and there's always an outcome. So
100%.
with putting out my poetry, I think it became a thing of, you know what, this is me. And whether you like it or not, this is still me, and it's constantly gonna remain me, and that's just how things go. That's just how things are.
Mm.
And yeah,
So if you had one story to share that would change someone's life right now, what story would you share with us? I mean, keeping in mind that, these conversations are all about helping people to empower themselves, helping people to step out of these mental barriers, these whatever illusions that they've created to hold themselves back, like reaching out for opportunity. If you were put in a position, to change any one of our live viewers' lives right now, what story would you share with us? Or what would you open our
um,
minds to?
I think literally my title for that would be. We always make jokes about this phrase, but it is so real. Tough times never last.
Amen.
That would be my title. That would definitely be my title. Tough times never lost. And I think one of the things or a story that I could share was that, oh, for instance, I'll go to the whole body image and me and how I dealt with that. That was a very dark phase for me. That was a very confusing phase for me. And because I didn't know who to look at or who to run to or who to talk to necessarily, because I was still confused within myself. I was still figuring things out within myself.
Mm,
But now to look at it where I am now, I realized that tough time never lost. It didn't last. As much as it probably ran for some time, it's probably still an underlying condition right now, but it doesn't last. And I think that's one thing I'd highlight. And within tough times never lasting, one thing I want everyone that's in this life to remember is that as much as tough times never last, the best of moments will last as long as you want them to.
oof.
That is one thing. That is one thing. I will repeat myself. As much as tough times never last, the best moments can last as long as you want them to.
Mm,
And why I'm saying that is because pain pain will break you. pain will break you, it will destroy you.
Mm.
But then again, it will craft something new in you. It'll create something new within you. And I think it's gauging on that new emotion or that new feeling or that new sensation that arises and now grooming that.
Mm.
And when you groom that, because you know where you come from, you know where it comes from, you know that it was painful for me to get to where I am. You will
Sure.
stretch that as long as you want. You will get that lasting as long as you want because you've held on to the fact that it didn't last, but you reap what you sow. So what I sow, I wanted to last this long. I wanted to continue this long. And that's up to you. So yeah, that'll be literally, that's my title. Tough times never last, but the best of moments will last as long as you want them to.
You've got to dig into the pain. I mean, and that's something we're all
Always.
scared to do. Like nobody wants to experience the pain,
Yeah.
but we are more we would rather not deal with the pain and live a unhappy life than actually dig into that pain and see, what can come out of it, which is quite ironic, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. It is because I think we avoid pain so much. We shy from pain 100% of the time. I won't even say 98% of the time, 100% of the time. Because even if you're like, I'll deal with it later, in that moment you shied away from the pain. Even if you're like, okay, I'll deal with it now. But there's always that resistance of how or with who or am I strong enough? There's so many things that are part of you gauging into that pain, and that's a process that has to happen. It's something that needs to happen. You need to live through the pain. What happens is we close that pain in and suppress it so hard that the day it comes out, that's a very dark day, darker than it would have been if you had dealt with that pain beforehand.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. You've got to find ways also to create that significant you that you want by fueling off that pain.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's been quite a journey for you, and it seems like you're just on the uprise, and we you most definitely so. I think it's very important for you first to engage, for you to engage with up and rising
Yeah.
entrepreneurs as well. Show them that there is a better
Yeah.
life out there for them. And
Yeah. I think on that, I think we need to start realizing that each time you are told that you cannot, you can. Each time that you are forced to sit down, stand up. Each time you are forced to conform or succumb to higher beings than you, realize we are all equal. Realize that you deserve that spot just as much as the next person. Realize that you are stronger than you know. And I always say this when, for instance, a friend is going through a tough time. I say to them, you are mightier than the warrior. You will always be mightier than the warrior. Because one thing I always repeat, because I believe in God, I always repeat that God will give his worst and toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, and you need to be that soldier. You need to walk into those steps and be like, you know what, I don't care what they have to say about me. I don't care how much they put me down, but I know where I'm going. I don't care if along the way, because I'm taking too long to get there, I lose a few arms, I lose a few legs, but I know where I'm going. I know what the plan is, so I will get there. Yeah.
I love how you're talking about, like, you've got to break legs, you're gonna lose legs, you're going to lose something, because people think that when you have to go into battle, you already have to be strong. But based on how you're explaining it now, it's more like once you get into the battle, that's when you start becoming that strong warrior.
Mm-mm.
So
Yeah, that's basically it. Because one thing is, we tend to think that because we are in a process, everyone's going to stick with us. That works. We tend to think that because we're in a process, everything's going to work in our favor. That is definitely not how it works. You will fall, you will crumble, but we move. We keep it moving. each time we keep on keeping on.
Mm.
And that's the gist of it. Because if you sit down and you succumb to that, then you are breaking your own story. You are tearing pages out of the book that you are writing, and you need to wake up and realize that.
100%, 100%. Gotta go out and get what you want. Don't just sit around expecting
Exactly.
it, to come to you. Don't expect people to give you things. Z, thank you very much, man. I really enjoyed today's conversation with you. It was such a
No
pleasure,
problem.
very insightful, and I hope that this conversation doesn't end just because the live ends. I really hope that this is the type of conversation that people will still carry on, and hopefully in time we can have a new generation of South Africans that are willing to be as ambitious as yourself.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's what we're aiming for. That's what we're praying for. That's what we're hoping for. And yeah.
Oh, and mommy's so proud of you, man. Look at you making your mommy proud.
Oh my word, Mom! Guys, thank you for all the comments, Ma. Thank you. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for tuning in. I mean, I might just have more lives here and there because
Go
this
for
ain't
it.
so bad. This ain't so bad.
Look,
No.
and just to everyone that's in the live, uh, we really hope that you guys step up to these conversations as well. What we're doing is merely just trying to get the ball rolling. So if you've got a story to share, if you just want something inspirational to share with someone, and it could be an idea, a goal, anything to inspire any other South African to step up and take accountability for their life. I personally would really love to hear from you. And if you're hosting live conversations such as this, please tag me, please invite us. Like, these are the types of conversations that we need. And, I totally believe, I fully believe that we shouldn't limit it to just two individuals on a single platform. Let's all create platforms. Let's all have our lives. Invite us, let us come in. Let's carry on the conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you all for jumping in. Z, I really appreciate you hosting me on your Insta. Much.
No problem, Matt.
Until next time. Thanks, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys.